The one that sticks out right now is more in my mid 20s, early 20s, really. I was very much the fixer of my family. I inserted myself into being the middleman often. It was how I found value at that age because I didn't feel like I belonged and I didn't feel like I was important. So I would insert myself and like be the middleman between my father and my sister, or be the middleman between my father and my mother, or between my stepmother. And like being that person who was like, I'll go tell them and then tell them and bring it back to y'all and be the middleman in it. I don't know if you've ever been the middleman in that way, but it does not work. It's not good. If anyone
No.
knows the drama triangle, it's very hero behavior. And it got to a point where I was so exhausted from trying to be the middleman and prove that I was important, because that's really what I was doing. I told my family to basically F off, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not coming to Thanksgiving, because it was like right around November. I'm not coming to holidays. I'm not coming to hang out. Stop calling me. Don't ask me things. Like, I'm out. I'm done. And my whole family was just like, huh?
What
You know?
happened?
Yeah, they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "I'm
Yeah.
exhausted trying to navigate you guys." And that was the first time that I was just kind of like, "Bye, I'm out. I can't do this anymore." And that, swinging the pendulum really far to the opposite direction, right? And just cutting everything off.
Welcome to Your Wordless podcast, the space where we redefine success, self-worth, and transformation. I am Nick Yaras, the soul-centered architect of transformation, helping you unlock your highest potential and build a legacy beyond limits. Now, whether it is self-mastery, career breakthroughs, or wealth creation, this is where change begins. Now, let's dive in.
Thank you so much.
All right, Jen. Before we start off, I'd like to take my guests and the listeners a trip down memory lane first. What was it like growing up as a Jennifer Hardy?
Oh, what was it like growing up as a Jennifer Hardy? It was feeling a lot of unseen and feeling a lot of don't belong. Uh,
Hmm.
but I was a very artsy child at first until about 7 years old, and then I was told to pick a sport and get out there and start playing to get active and to get engaged with people, which I'm really grateful for. I'm still very artistic, but I'm also an athlete. So obviously, ended up coaching sports, so I loved that. With that though, there was a lot of separation. I always felt we talk about the stories and the belief systems and the loudest inner critic, right? And my inner critic was loud from a very young age of I don't belong, I'm not good enough, I'm not loved, I'm not a part of the family. So there was a lot of, I was very quiet growing up at first. And then I feel like there was that juxtaposition to where I became a young adult, and then I was just loud and in your face and very like resentful and push back like most teenagers are. And I think it's just been a journey of taking the best of all of those years and bringing them into now.
Well, I want to peel back on the part where you said there's a lot of resentment when I guess at one point you said enough is enough. I
Mhm.
want to be heard now. So what happened then? Like, was there a pivotal moment, or was it like, okay, I guess I need to do this right now. So therefore I am standing on business.
Yeah, there's a few moments.
Okay.
um, the one that sticks out right now is more in my mid 20s, early 20s, really. I was very much the fixer of my family. I inserted myself into being the middleman often. It was how I found value at that age because I didn't feel like I belonged and I didn't feel like I was important. So I would insert myself and like be the middleman between my father and my sister, or be the middleman between my father and my mother, or between my stepmother. And like being that person who was like, I'll go tell them and then tell them and bring it back to y'all and be the middleman in it. I don't know if you've ever been the middleman in that way, but it does not work. It's not good. If anyone
No.
knows the drama triangle, it's very hero behavior. And it got to a point where I was so exhausted from trying to be the middleman and prove that I was important, because that's really what I was doing. I told my family to basically F off, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not coming to Thanksgiving, because it was like right around November. I'm not coming to holidays. I'm not coming to hang out. Stop calling me. Don't ask me things. Like, I'm out. I'm done. And my whole family was just like, huh?
What
You know?
happened?
Yeah, they're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "I'm
Yeah.
exhausted trying to navigate you guys." And that was the first time that I was just kinda like, "Bye, I'm out. I can't do this anymore." And that, swinging the pendulum really far to the opposite direction, right? And just cutting everything off.
Wow. Okay, so often when people do that, right? I mean, based on my observation of the people that I work with as well and people that I've talked to, it's often like when you do things that is very drastic, such as that, you'll feel this kind of it's either you feel relief or you feel bad. You feel guilty. What did you feel setting boundaries?
The first time I did it, I was like, "Woo!"
Okay, okay.
It felt so good. I was like, "Ah." But then immediately I started getting the phone calls and the messages, and I don't even think that was at a point where we were doing text messaging yet. And it was just a lot of the guilt did start to creep in because the family does what
Mm,
the family does, and like, "What do you mean you're not coming to holidays? And what do you mean you're not doing this? And blah, blah, blah." And then that inner voice that really wants to be wanted and really wants to be needed, and it starts to get like, "Okay, and then
yeah.
you fall right back into the same trap.
Exactly. And ooh, okay, I love this topic because I talk a lot about this. And I too, I mean, we all are at some point in our lives, we're victims of that. And right now I'm really reiterating to myself, okay, when I am faced with that kind of situation of what should I do? What would my higher self do? Right. So
Yeah.
obviously you've done a lot of work, Jen, and this is why you also do what you do now. You had a successful career
Mhm.
and but then you walked away from it with no clear plan. So what happened and what made you make that leap, take that leap?
Yeah. I left at the height of my career in public education. And people might be like, how can you have a height in public education? But being a soccer coach, I had multiple state appearances, a state title, and had built a very successful program very quickly. I'd become the girls' athletic coordinator. I was the strength and conditioning coordinator. I was doing a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Well known in the community and well respected. And um, really, Landmark was one of the first professional development type trainings, personal development type trainings that I did in 2016. And it really brought to light that I was doing what I wound up doing. I did not go to school to be a teacher. I actually just went to get my kinesiology degree and thought I was going to be a strength coach. And when I got out, life happened the way life happened. I ended up going back and getting a teaching certification as a backup plan. And I ended up needing the backup plan. And so I jumped into teaching and coaching, which I was terrified of, had no desire to do. I actually was afraid of public speaking at that point in my life. And what is public speaking? I mean, teaching is basically public speaking to like young people who want to make you wrong all the time.
Yeah. They're out
It
to
was
get you all the time.
terrifying.
Yeah.
But then I ended up being really good at it. I ended up being able to connect with kids really well, probably because I was such an unheard child that I was very aware of wanting a child, wanting a student, wanting an athlete to have an experience that I never got and to feel seen, heard, known, appreciated, respected. And so I feel like that's part of what gave me so much success in being a coach and a teacher. But then I went to this program and I realized, like, oh, I'm literally doing what I wound up doing. And I wound up being real good at it. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's true, then what else am I capable of? What else can
Mm,
I do?
mm,
And I don't want to, step over the fact that there were definitely moments of burnout. There were definitely moments of overwhelm, sleeping in my car around the corner, like just exhausted. But in reality, that's not what had me leave. What had me leave was, what else can I do? Who else am I? Because I was very much defined by what I was doing at that point in my life. And I wanted to know, who else am I capable of being? So the funny the ironic part of this story is that I left teaching and coaching to find out that I am in fact a teacher and a coach, just not in public education.
just in your own, I mean, your own practice, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, what a journey. What a those turn of events. So I want to go back to the part where you said you want everybody wanted to feel seen. Now, you're where you're at right now. What have you found? Why did you feel the way that you feel when you were a kid?
Mm.
What have you gathered so far?
Well, it's a couple of different things. I mean, we're meaning making machines, right? Like
Mm,
we take everything and we make it mean what we want to make it mean through our lens, through our perspective, through our belief systems, through our education, through our religion, through all our filters, right? And so now,
Yes.
I mean, anybody who's listening to this right now is filtering it through what they believe, what they think, what they know, right? And they're taking and getting what they need to. And so
Yes.
when we're growing up, no matter what's being said or how it's being delivered or how it's being received, it's being filtered on both sides. And so as a child, just very early on, I had developed those stories of not worthy, not enough, don't belong, not loved. And so it was very hard to receive. Just everything I received felt like it was just ingraining that story further and further and further in. And when you're that little, you don't have the tools and the skills to be like, no, that's not true. But also I've gotten into human design at this point in my life. I don't know if you know human design, but I
The
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay, you brought a very great point. Now I think we're going to spend some minutes talking about that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it the what do you call that? Manifesting generator? It's one of the designs. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the stage is
Yes.
yours, please.
I love it.
Sorry to cut you off.
Yay. I'm like,
Yay!
yay.
Okay.
Yeah, so diving, I mean, I've very much scratched the surface. As you probably know, human design is so intricate, but learning that I'm a projector and projectors need a lot of recognition, a lot of acknowledgement. They're literally meant to be heard, to be seen. And we're here to be guides. And so to be a child of a manifesting generator, um, who's just like all over the place all the time and just doesn't have the time for it, right? But then my mom was a projector also. So now I know why I always felt so connected to my mother when my parents got divorced, especially. It was so much easier for me to connect and communicate with my mom and always feel loved by my mother, but then always have this sense of not enough and gotta go get more from my father, who was just a man gen, who was just doing life, man. He just had 18 things going and this is the way he rolls. It had nothing to do with me. But now when I work with women who have kids or I have worked with men who have kids and I'm like, hey, are you interested in this idea, this concept? And I'm like, P.S. If you know what your kids are, it's really cool to like help them grow into who they're meant to be. So it's kind of, there's a lot of things I've learned as to how that happened the way it happened.
Ooh, okay. Now, can we like
I know.
spend a
I
little bit
just said a
more
lot.
time on that human design? So, okay, can you break it down for us in the simplest way possible that you can? Like how many designs are there and what are the key traits of this designs? And okay, that's number 2. And then number 3, how they interact with each other. I guess we'll answer when we get to the third part.
For sure. Just because I am a big believer in integrity and authenticity, I just want to acknowledge I am not a formally trained human design specialist. I'm just a lover of information and content. I am a 1-4 projector, which means I love to dive into stuff and learn. So I'm self taught and I'm just learning. So if there is someone who's listening who's like, oh, I just want to know I'm speaking from personal education and experience. Uh,
Yes.
so there are manifestors, there are
Mhm.
generators, there are manifest generators, there are projectors, and there are reflectors. So there are 5 main types. And the majority of society is made up of generators and manifest generators.
Mm.
It's 60 some odd percent of society is made up of them. And they have natural energy sources who are meant to work. They're meant to get stuff done. I want to back up for a quick second. Human design at its core is meant to support your energy, understanding decision making, and really finding a life's purpose that lights you up and really allows you to be energetically aligned and fueled in a way, on top of so many other elements. But I'm just going to stick with that for now. And so those generators and manifest generators, a big part of their push forward is to find work that they love. It's to find purpose that they love, but it's usually within work or within family or within community. And when they get a chance to respond to something, when someone asks them, would you like to this or that? And they get to have a primal level guttural response to it, like say a yes, they have a generator inside that will turn on and drive them forward. And that's why they can work on 4 hours of energy and be fine, 4 hours of sleep and be good, because they're just so lit up and excited about what they're doing.
Mm.
The juxtaposition to that is that a projector like me or a manifester, we don't have natural energy sources like a generator or a manifest generator. So we're not meant for the 9 to 5 hustle and grind. And society is built on generators and manifest generators. So there's a lot of
Yes.
reflectors, manifestors, and projectors who are living in a generator man-gen world that we're like, we're exhausted.
Take me out of this.
Yeah, let me go. So a manifester, they're like 8% of society, and they're meant to initiate. They're meant to like push things forward, move things forward, get things going. And then a projector is, they're more like, I think it's like 18% of society, and we're guides. We're here to be educators, teachers, leaders. We see things that people don't see. We see the patterns. We can zoom out, see bigger pictures, see all perspectives, and give that information back if it's received, right? But we have a
Mhm.
very penetrating aura, and so it's scary for people sometimes. Of like, I don't know if I want to go
I want to
there.
be seen on
Exactly. I
Earth.
don't know if I want to be seen like that. Uh,
Yes.
and then there's reflectors who honestly I know the littlest about. I don't even know that I can give you a good description right now, but I've only met one reflector because reflectors are 1% of the population. They are a small, small percent of the population. And I don't have a good description to give you for the reflectors now. But
we'll
those are,
we'll keep yeah, we'll keep it as probably somebody who reflects a lot, who, well, by the name, by the word of it,
yeah,
maybe
that's
they're
mirroring.
hermit mode. Yeah, mirroring. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I'm interested in projector, right? So now that you delve into human design and you found out that you're a projector, what else did you find about projector and that actually aligned you with what you're doing now?
Mm. Uh, I mean, I felt so seen when I read about the projector. Like when I started to learn what it is, I was like, oh my God, you just made my whole life make sense.
And this was when, like, after 20
You know,
years?
a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it just made me feel very seen because it's very much so. A projector is typically defined by, when you said, how do we interact with each other? That was the third question you asked me.
Yes.
A
Yes.
projector is supposed to wait for an invitation. So we're
Mm.
supposed to wait for an invitation to give our insight, to give our knowledge, to offer how we see what we see. But most projectors are so busy trying to prove themselves that we're just inserting ourselves into conversations and we're giving unsolicited advice. And we're doing it in a way that most people don't want to hear it and that or aren't ready
Right.
for it. Like we said, right? Penetrating aura. I don't know if I want to be seen like that. And
Mhm.
so it made it make sense for me of why it was so easy, how it was so easy for people to push back, to push me away. And I'm like, oh, they
Mhm.
weren't ready for me. And that's okay. And I've learned that if I just sit in a conversation and I wait to be asked for my insight, wait to be asked for how I see things or what I know, while it's really freaking hard, because you have to learn to watch people fall on their face, basically, and just be okay with
Yeah.
it, which is really,
Ooh, it's like you have this intuitive feeling like, you're gonna make a not so favorable decision. Okay, well, I'm gonna let you do it first, and then I'll be here when you're, yeah, and especially it's family members and people that you love, right?
yep, yep. So,
Yeah.
but that's been a huge turning point is waiting for that, letting someone ask me, because then it's received on a whole other level. And the experience of the acceptance and the give back of what people are getting from me is so much bigger, but then it's you pull that into business and it's like, how do I wait for an invitation? Like this?
Exactly. That was my next question. Like, I mean, you did so well. You reached out. I said, yeah.
I
That
know.
was that was the paradox, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
But here we
It's not
are.
it's
So
it's definitely
so
not
how
just wait.
it is? So I guess it's a balance for you too. Can I say
Absolutely.
that? It's like,
Yeah.
and it's just been a year and a half for you, right? So the journey is still unfolding, um, by itself, in front of your eyes, in front of people around you. And so, okay, how did that, or maybe let me rephrase my question. How does that help you with your current work now?
So I would say how it helps me is like I've always been very good at navigating someone and like navigating a conversation with someone, and I never really understood why. Um, but I'm meant to be a guide. I'm meant to be a teacher. I'm meant to be in front of people. And so now the way we're doing things, we host workshops, we host trainings, I do keynote speaking. And so for me, when it comes to business, it's how do I get in front of people? How do I
Right.
get in front of people? And whoever's in the audience, the invitation, if you will, is already there because they showed up, right? They're already saying, I'm here to listen. I'm here to learn. I'm here to understand. Or if it's a department required training, right? Then there's a practice of gaining that rapport in the beginning to open them up and recognize like, okay, we've got information to be able to offer. But with the work I do now, it's leaning into being seen and being heard, and being seen and being heard as an expert, as somebody who has some insight to offer in a way that they may not normally have heard it, and in a way that they need it right now. And it's usually a lot of what we focus on is on all the stuff that I overcame. It's all the stuff that my business partner has overcome, right? It's connection. It's how do you go through life feeling connected to another human, to having that relationship with your family, with your partner, with the people you work with your friends, that like just makes you feel fulfilled and lit up. And just a lot of people, especially post COVID, don't experience that anymore, especially with social media and, just all of the things that are out there. And so I feel like we're bringing connection back to humanity, but we're doing it through ways that are practical and relatable, on the table ways to do it.
Beautiful. And I guess this flows nicely to my next question, the CARES approach.
Oh.
Right. Can you share with us what is that? And it centers on, yeah, how does this value show up on your own healing and growth? Yeah.
Yeah, the CARES approach, first of all, it stands for communication, awareness, resilience, emotional literacy, self mastery. And it's a neuroscience based program that my business partner and I created that is practical, applicable, tactical, and it's heart centered, emotion driven, with practicality, with logic, right? Like how do we bring those things together to create these relationships? So it really is literally what I was just talking about. We're teaching people how to understand themselves better, how to bring that self-awareness, because you can't change anything. You can't communicate better. You can't create the life you desire if you have no idea what's happening in your head. Are you even aware of the thoughts that you're having? Are you aware of the patterns you're creating? Are you aware of why you're creating those patterns? Because the thoughts and the patterns go together, right? So we're starting with awareness, understanding yourself and how these things are getting created. And then, okay, now I know this about myself, but now I have to communicate in a totally different way because now I know newly, and now I want to know them newly. Well, how do I communicate that? And how do I navigate a nervous system, a physical nervous system that's used to closing down because this is scary, when my brain is saying, but this is great, and this is an opportunity for growth, for transformation, for connection. How do we navigate the two of those coming together in the nervous system and ride that through because the first time I had to have new conversations with my father, for example, my whole body was like, ugh, right? But my brain's like, no, we got this.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Right? So like teaching how to navigate that. I'll pause for a minute. Oh, yeah.
Talk to us about the time when you had to, you knew that you had to go and talk to your dad while implementing this CARES approach.
Got it. Yep. Okay. Well, first of all, just so I know, is cussing okay or not?
Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. I indicated it's 18 for 18 and above
Okay.
on my YouTube.
So, uh, I mentioned my father's a man gen, so he's very like my way, the highway. I want to do this, want to do this now. And it was a little bit after, it was like a year after COVID really got going, right? Like 2021. And my father wanted to go into a business venture with my sister and I. And at that point in time, we were working with him in San Antonio, Texas, at his self-defense and fitness center, helping him out. And it was crazy. It was a shit show. We just felt like we were drowning,
Right.
and he was just basically had his foot on our head, like trying to stay above water himself. And
Okay.
that's not reality, right? But that's how we were feeling. We were just feeling suffocated and drowned. So he wants to talk about this business venture. And we're like, no, like there's no way we can move forward into another business venture with you feeling like this. So we're sitting
Mm-hmm.
in a restaurant conversation and he's talking to me and I'm looking at him and I'm just like, crap, I'm gonna have to say this to him. I'm having this whole conversation in my head. My temperature starts to rise. My hands starting to sweat. But
Mm-hmm.
my brain's like, yeah, man, no, we're doing this consciously. I'm like, yeah, we got to have this conversation. And for whatever reason, my sister has no idea, obviously, when I'm talking to myself, but she gets up and goes to the bathroom. And that's when
Oh,
I
that was the cue.
I guess so. That's the moment where I look at him and I'm like, Dad, this is all great and good, but like, we have to talk about some things because Paige and I, our experience right now is a lot like you're pushing us underwater so that you can stay afloat. And we're American Indian. The man got red so fast. I mean, 0 to not even 60, and slams his hands down, right? And just says, how the fuck is that what you think I'm doing? How could you possibly think that of me? And it's some version of that, right? And at that point, my heart's beating really fast. My hands are slightly shaking. My breath is off, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
also at the same time consciously very calm. And I'm just saying to myself, that hurts him. This is hard for him to hear. He's my father. The last thing he wants is to have that experience, like to feel like that's what we're feeling. So I look at him and I'm like, Dad, I'm like, I'm sorry if that hurt your feelings. And he's like, you didn't hurt my feelings. And I'm like, whoops. Okay, that was an assumptive statement. Let's not go there next time. Again, learning in the process. And
Yes.
I'm like, fair. Okay, got it. Didn't hurt your feelings. Let me just say this then. I want you to know that what I'm telling you is not who we think you are. It's not what we believe of you. We know you, we love you, we appreciate you, and right now, our experience of our relationship is suffocating. Like you are pushing us underwater so that you can stay afloat. And I just reiterated it from, I language, right? My experience, her experience. At this point, my sister starts to walk back up and she's like,
Mm.
what's happening right now?
Mm, mm, mm,
And
mm,
you can
mm.
just see the red start to drain from his face and his
Mm.
shoulders drop as he takes a really big, deep breath. And he's just like, okay, well, obviously we got to talk about this. And I'm like, yep. And so we move forward. We start talking about it, and somewhere in there, I also got to tell my dad that he's kind of a dick.
You saw your and you took
Yes, ma'am.
it.
You know, and the best part of that story though is twofold. One, he looks at me and he's like, yeah, I know.
No, people who are like that, because I'm guilty of that too. We know when we're not really that fun of a person to be around with, but
Oh my
sometimes you
God.
do it unconsciously, and sometimes consciously, deliberately. Well, yes.
It
And
was
then
so
what
funny.
happened?
The twofold. So the second part of that story that's funny is the next day, him and my sister went to go look at a um a location that they were possibly going to buy, and they were doing the whole thing, and they walked out, and he kind of elbows my sister, and he was like, "Look at that! I wasn't even a dick this time."
Ah, yay! So looking at that approach, so he has awareness. Kudos for your.
Yeah. Well, and I can honestly say everything that my business partner Irina and I teach, we practice. I mean, we practice it on a daily basis. This is not just theory. This is not just concept. This is not just knowledge pulled from a book or another training. Like we're doing this. I mean, she and I are doing this together. Two powerful, strong type female business working together closely, best friends, business partners, but with family, with friends. Like we're doing this on the daily. So it's incredible to witness that when you are who you are through these concepts, people around you start to change.
I love that. Wow. You are who you are, and people around you will start to change because it's inevitable, right? Your energy speaks for itself. So the people that you're around with, once you tweak that energy, that frequency, oh, they have to start behaving differently because you started that chain.
Yep.
Beautiful. Jen, okay, so a lot of high achieving people struggle to pause long enough to ask, what do I really need right now?
Mm.
So what do they need right now? So say, so say Because I came from that background. My father has always instilled this within me. Knowledge is power, therefore get the education, get the job, get the yada 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 yada. And so
Mhm.
until 5 years ago, I also did not feel like I was myself anymore. So I had to lose myself to find myself again. Now that got me into this podcasting and also hypnotherapy. So it's a 180 degree from accounting. I cannot help but to ask guests on my show that if they are having these moments and they're always turning like the man gen
Mhm.
on they're on the wheel, the hamster wheel. Like, what do I need to do right now? How do we begin?
Yep. What's coming to mind to say to this right now is you have to learn how to embrace uncertainty. Yep.
But we're control freaks, you know. I don't wanna identify myself with that anymore. But then, yeah, we like control.
We're humans, man. That
Yes,
ego wants this. Let me have the control stick, man. Let me do it the way I want to do it.
that's right.
But certainty, like needing certainty, which is another way to
Mm.
say control, right? Needing that certainty is the fastest way to stay forever stuck, forever unchanged, and never actually getting where you're desiring to go. It's so constraining. So constraining. There's no space to like move and wiggle and be flexible and adaptable and grow. I mean, uncertainty is well, by definition, a miracle can only happen in uncertainty. Because if you know what's going to happen, it can't be a miracle, right? So it's uncertainty is this really uniquely beautiful space that we're terrified of in so many facets. But the other side of this that people don't realize is that uncertainty and courage are directly related. Like when you practice courage, leaning into that uncertainty, it starts to get easier and easier to practice uncertainty because courage is a skill, right? Navigating your system, your nervous system, taking that step anyway, even though it's scary. Stop and check. Is it scary because there's danger? Because that could be real. Or is it scary because it's going to challenge an identity? It's going to challenge a relationship. It's going to challenge an outcome that you expect. And it's going to challenge who you think you are or who you think someone else is, or potentially ruin a relationship that it's going to end. Those are things get you exiled, get you rejected. Those are the things that people will not confront. And it's like
Mhm.
when you're willing to practice the courage of confronting those things through the uncertainty, does life unfold?
I love when you said about that miracle. Miracle can only happen, you know, during uncertain times. Okay, you brought a very good perspective because I sometimes I do feel like we're grinding, right? We're doing the things that we love, but then we also need to be open to all those miracles is going to happen into our lives. Now, jumping into an entrepreneurship, I'm sure it wasn't easy. It certainly wasn't easy for me.
Oh, God, no.
Talk to us about your journey, like that leap.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because yes, it's terrifying, but also like again, I mentioned I left at the height of my career. So like everyone is like, what are you doing? What do you mean? Huh?
What about your dad?
My dad was like, could you just like stop coaching and just keep teaching until you get a job? Like figure out what you want to do, or like
Right, have a backup plan, right? Like that.
have a side stream, even though my father is a
Yes,
40-year entrepreneur, but maybe that's why
still,
the struggle.
yeah. Uh,
So everyone's like, are you crazy? What are you doing? Of course, my closest inner circle is like, amazing. This is awesome. Even my athletes at that time in my life, the group of girls I had, my varsity players specifically at that time, were so supportive and so sweet. They're like, you're such an inspiration. This is so exciting. We can't wait to watch your journey. So I did have a group that were like, yay. And then I had a whole bunch of people who were like, WTF.
uh,
Um, but I kind of uprooted my whole life. I sold my home of 9 years. Yeah. Which was like a whole other grief thing that I didn't expect. I left a career of 12 years,
mhm.
and I hopped on a plane and I went to Europe for 33 days.
Yay! Good for you.
I had never been out of the country other than Mexico. So when I went to
Okay.
Europe by myself, and was like, screw it,
Bye.
we're gonna go figure it out. Let's go. And that's kind of that was the start of the journey. And then I came back and moved into an apartment. So I didn't want to deal with a house anymore. And I feel like I've just been popping around and figuring stuff out along the way. I've dabbled in so many different things over the last 6 years. It's quite entertaining, actually. But the core of that whole mission, that whole journey has been, I'm here to support people with connection, communication, relation, to be able to create those relationships that they desire to have in life. And that comes through, how do I communicate with myself, with the people around me? And like, that's the whole journey is really culminated into those bigger picture missions.
It's like falling in love with yourself again, right? In different parts of you that like when you I'm sure when you uprooted you sold your house, that'd be like okay, sometimes not sometimes. We attach our identity to that, to our achievement,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I left a place that I called home for the last 15 years and moved back to my hometown. So that's a and right now still figuring out as we speak, but this is very therapeutic for me. This is why I do what I do. And it's amazing to see that I'm not the only one in this journey. And it's also incredible to see that we are on our different paths, but we're now really stepping up to our potential. Like we want to see how far we could go, what we've unlocked about ourselves, knowledge about ourselves. The old version of us, it's already like we're at the ceiling, but right now we're here and we're trying to unlock that. But then that comes with embracing the uncertainty, where there could be times where oh shit, how am I gonna do this, how am I gonna sometimes there are months where the sales are good, there are months where the sales are not good, and so you got to be honest with yourselves and not go back to that voice where you said, see, I told you so,
Oh my gosh,
right?
goodness
Yeah.
gracious. It's a thing.
So
Good.
those listening out there, right? We hear you, we feel you, and you don't have to, it's nice if you could just comment and share your journey with us, but then we know you're feeling the same way and you're not alone. So,
Absolutely. I can totally appreciate whatever journey you're on. It's okay. You're right where you're meant to be right now.
yay. What does your day to day look like?
Mm. My ideal day today.
Yeah, well, let's put it out there.
No,
Ideal day
well,
to day. Yeah.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Sales are good sometimes, and sometimes they're not. And right now, our sales cycle has been really long. And so financially, it's been rough for the past year. So I'm
Yeah.
actually subbing on the side right
I
now.
I admit too. So
Yeah. So I'm subbing a couple of days a week at a school. And so on those days, I'm getting up at 5 a.m. and getting my butt to school to go support, you know, those schools. And I'm actually enjoying being there from a completely different perspective. It feels like research. It's really interesting. But every other day, on a normal day, I probably won't get out of bed till 7:30. What I didn't mention about projectors earlier is that we need lots of rest. We need lots and
oh
lots,
yeah,
and
like minimum.
we work like 2 to 5 hour blocks, and like that's all we do because we're efficient AF. Uh,
I need some projectors in my team. Well, right now I'm by myself, so
there you go. Yes. So anyway, I'll get up and I'll usually do a morning routine. I always have warm water in the morning, and then I've got journaling, I've got oracle card pulls, and
oh
I'm
my
trying to get back
god,
into
you're like singing music to my ears right now.
trying to get back into also reading in the morning. That's been kind of out the door lately. And I'll do all those things. I really try to take a slow morning whenever I can, a solid 90 minutes to 2 hours to just kind of center and set and get intention for the day and just kind of be. Rushed mornings. Ugh, ugh, yeah.
Mm. No, I don't. Nah, nah.
I
No
noticed
more.
those mornings.
That's the one thing that I don't miss about 9 to 5. I miss the paycheck, but not the
Nope.
morning. Like, yeah, the
Nope.
quick run to the grocery store at 11 a.m. in the morning. I could never do that when I'm at
Yeah,
9 to 5.
figuring out
So,
how to make your appointments in the midst of it. My boyfriend, partner still has, he has a 9 to 5 and he's great at it, but I'm like, to schedule a doctor's appointment, to go to the grocery store. I'm like, I'll take care of it,
yay!
you know? So It's but a day to day. I mean, I'm usually starting a slow morning, and then I'm in the office. I'm either on calls or podcasting, or going through our Monday list. What do we need to do? What needs to be? We do a lot of RFP, a lot of government bids right now, so we're doing a lot of work on getting work out that way. Um, and then I definitely exercise pretty much every day and get that going. So it's a pretty while we're not super busy right now, it's definitely more intentional behind putting ourselves out there, getting the work out there, connecting with people, having conversations, going and being seen. So that's really a normal day until there's like next on May 9th, we have a course that we're doing in San Antonio. That'll be a full 8-hour day where we'll be there at 8 a.m. and we'll be done at 6 p.m. and we'll have a full course that day. So it's the life of
Amazing.
entrepreneurs. There's not necessarily a routine 100%.
I love that. And I know, judging by what you said, and I could feel the the mission and the vision emanating from you and your team, the work that you're doing. I mean, it'll take time, but it's all in divine timing. I
Yes.
believe that. And right now, you're doing great work, and you're here, and my audience is 50% from the States, 45% is from Malaysia, and the rest is the other part of the world. There are parts of the world, so yeah,
Yeah.
you're getting your message out there. So
I
I
appreciate
I wish
it.
the best for you and your practice, your business.
Thank you so
So
much.
okay, Jen, what is next for you?
What is next? Well, literally, what's next for me is I'm leaving for a 7-day yoga retreat on Saturday.
No, really? Where's that? Where will that be?
It's going to be on an island off of Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
Mexico.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
been
That's
wanting
so
to attend one of those soon, maybe. Yeah, maybe this year. 7 day, that's a long retreat.
my
Are
projector
you are you
soul is so excited.
you're like, oh my God, yes, I need this. So are you a participant or are you holding the event with somebody else?
In this case, for the first time in a couple of years, I'm actually getting to be a participant. We do host retreats in January, but
Oh.
this time I get to be a participant.
You get to receive everything, all the
Yes.
goodness.
I'm very, very excited for this.
All right. So, Jen, we're gonna pivot to a self-worth question, which I think is very much apt for the topic today. Now, how do you define self-worth right now, and how has that definition evolved over time for you?
How do I define self-worth right now, and how has that evolved over time? Well, it's evolved from not being based in what I do for others. It's evolved in not being based in how much I do in the world as well. It's evolved to me, right? I am worth who I am, exactly how I am and who I am and the way I am. But how I define it, hmm, how do I define self-worth? Taking a pause long enough to recognize the unique talents, gifts, specialness in yourself, and finding ways to honor that, and finding people in your life who want to honor that with you. That's what I'm going to go with.
Oh, I felt that in my soul. Yes. That was so pure and so genuine and authentic. I love that. Thank you.
Thank
I'll be
you.
sure to cut that up as a reel so you can share it.
Ooh,
And I can share it on my platform too. Okay. So, Jen, what is your heart's greatest wish?
my heart's greatest wish. My heart's greatest wish is for, man, apparently this is really intense. The pain in the world. Just
Mm.
like the amount of pain that people are experiencing right now, the amount of disconnection that people are experiencing right now as a whole, as a society, as a collective. It's rough. I mean, as a projector, I have a very open aura, so I feel a lot. I wouldn't know if I could say like empathically like that, but just I feel a lot. And I just feel there's a lot of pain in the world right now. There's a lot of anger, there's a lot of hurt. And my greatest heart's wish is to help people reconnect with each other and get back to a place of joy.
And you're doing that with your work.
Really intense. That just kind of poured out.
Whew, yes. So that means I did my job
Yes,
correctly today. Yes.
you did.
Jen, so if you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it?
I mean, the one that got me moving forward, which is just to leap and the net will appear. It is not my quote. It is somebody else's, and I don't have it off the top of my head. But when I was where I was, when I was feeling stuck, but also realizing I needed to take the next step, I had gone on a solo trip to Portland just to practice solo traveling. And I went into a bookstore, and that card was like in my face, and it was just leap and the net will appear. And I was like, you know what? Yes. And it just became my mantra for the next 2 years.
Wow, I had chills. Okay, how can people reach out to you, Jen?
Yeah. Our website's easy, right? MotivAction.academy, because there's links to book calls, all of our our emails are there, our phone numbers are there, all the information is there, but also any of the social medias. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram is _Jen Hardy. But really any of those ways that people want to find me, I'm open, I'm here, love to connect and find out how we could support you or your team or anyone in your life.
Beautiful. Now, before we wrap up the show, any last message to our listeners?
Girl, I feel like you hit the nail on the head today with so many good opportunities. Normally I do, but I'm like, I feel like we hit some good stuff today. Like, you're fantastic.
Oh, that means the world to me. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yes. Okay. I had quite a bit of a rough day today too. So I decided we show up, and that actually got reciprocated back to my cup is filled now. So thank you for that, Jen. That is a wrap on today's episode with Jen Hardy. Thank you for the work that you do, Jen, and for the work that you do to continue to uplift others and to inspire others around you. And for our listeners, this has been Your Worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, if you've ever felt worthless, remember this: you are not alone. Your soul chose to be here to matter. And for that reason alone, you are worthy. A huge thank you to you again, Jen, and to all of you for listening. Until next time, I am Nick Nyaras. Keep shining, keep growing, and always remember you are worthy and you are enough. See you in the next episode, Jen. Thank you so much for your time. Hi, Jen. Good morning to you. How are you doing today in this beautiful day where you're at?
It just rained, so it's cleaned out and cleared out and lovely today.
Well, it's good to hear that, right? I'd like to introduce myself to you formally and to all of our listeners tuning in today for the first time and returning subscribers. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled Your Worthless. Read that again. The juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, today we're going to talk about navigating fear, embracing uncertainty, rewriting old narratives, and practicing courage, even when our inner critic is the loudest voice in the room. Now, we are joined by Jen Hardy today with us. So, if you'd allow me, I'd like to introduce you to all of our listeners first, and then we can get right into our conversation. Hello, everyone. We have Jen Hardy here with us. Jen is the COO at the Academy of MotivAction and a transformation-driven educator, speaker, and coach who bridges logic and emotion to create lasting impact. Now, a former public educator and state championship soccer coach, Jen left the traditional system to pursue a broader mission, empowering individuals to harness resilience, clarity, and emotional intelligence under pressure. Now, with expertise in neuroscience, behavioral science, and communication, she helps people break through limitations, build confidence, and take decisive action. Wow. Welcome to the show, Jen. Love this episode? Now, transformation doesn't end here. Head on to @holistic.lifestyle_with_Nick. That is on my Instagram. Or head on to my website, www.denigneras.holisticlifestyle.com for more info on my coaching framework, which is the Worthy, Authentic, and Abundant Framework, digital guides, and my upcoming events such as retreats and master classes and workshops. Now, I also do intuitive readings where we get to check on your soul,